So I want to talk about learning things in tech. And this can start from when you're like really young and your friend tells you about something new that you've never heard of. Usually it happens in college where this guy walks up to you and says, "Hey, I'm doing something in AngularJS," and you've never heard about AngularJS. And there's this weird reaction, of, "Oh my God, I don't know this person does. I've never even heard of it. I'm gonna look like an idiot." Well, you need to drop that and first be honest about what you don't know. Just say, "I've never heard of it." Just be 100% honest. Honestly, there's definitely things you've heard of that this person hasn't, and maybe even things you're good at that this person's never heard of or doesn't know how to do. So just be honest about it first off. You're only doing yourself a disservice if you decide to act like you actually know about it. One good thing to do is ask what it is, get this person talking about it, because believe it or not, this is an opportunity, and it usually doesn't feel that way. It usually feels like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to learn this stuff. I'm gonna have to, try to figure out if I can do a project in it or something. I'm gonna have to, keep going with that. I'm gonna have to type of thought process. And you think that you might have to, because if you don't, well, this other person is gonna get a job before you do. Well, that's sort of dumb, because there's a million things out there that are like this, these little specializations. And one of the first things that you should do is sort of try to figure out how valuable is this to you. And I think a way I can explain this better is, imagine you're a fisherman, right? You're a fisherman, you like to fish, and somebody walks up to you and says, "Hey, I know where a good fishing hole is." Now, you wouldn't get super terrified or try to act like you already know where it is if you don't. Instead, you would inquire about it, because this might be something that can land you a reward that you would like to have. You would definitely not say that you know it if you don't, and you would probably ask a lot of questions, even though you know there's work entailed with this. You're gonna have to figure out how to get there, how to get your boat in, and how to fish for whatever fish is living in this particular fishing hole. But you'll do it because there's a potential reward. And for some reason in tech, we don't do this. We don't think about the potential reward in these situations. We just think about, I'm gonna look inferior. If I want to look at this, I'm gonna have to do research. I'm gonna have to work at stuff. I don't like work, maybe is part of the thought process. But why think of it that way? That's such a negative way to think about it. No one is forcing you to do anything, and you might look at it, get the basics of it, and walk away. Just at least now you know what it is, right? Beyond that, you might look at it and say, "Hey, this is something that people are hiring for. This is something that maybe I should give a try." Now, there's fear that goes along with this too, because you're like, well, what if I'm wasting my time? What if this is something I don't like? But in the end, you're never really wasting your time in these situations. Even if you do a bunch of stuff and then throw it in the garbage can, you still learn something. One is that you don't like this particular thing. The other is at least a little bit of how it works. And you'd be surprised how things in one particular area of tech, one JavaScript framework, one database, basically it can bleed over into other things. So you're never wasting your time is the first thing I'd say. And beyond that, you might actually find that this is the reward you want, right? This might be the hole with the big fish, and this is worth pursuing. So this is an opportunity, and you should think of it like the fisherman would. Think of it as, you know what, the last one I tried, all it had was little fish, or I couldn't catch anything. Just think this could be the one that is good for me, because it really is that kind of reward. I'd say a much bigger reward than fish, actually, that this could land you a career. This could be something that you love and something you become passionate about. Either way, anytime I learned a new skill, yes, there was pain along the way, but I walked away with a new skill. Something that I can do, something that someone can ask, "Hey, do you have any experience in this?" And I can say, "Yeah, sure." And I can help them do stuff in it. And if you do enough different things like that, you'd be surprised how all of a sudden you can walk into something you're either unfamiliar with or you did a long time ago and somehow be a useful asset. I was recently able to help someone with PHP at work, and I hadn't done PHP in like 5 years, but I did it for a personal project back when I was in school, and you'd be surprised, even though when you first think, oh my gosh, I haven't done this in forever, I don't remember anything, how quickly it comes back to you. It is something that you get to keep. You might just need a little refreshing. But When I say a little, I do mean a little. I guess what I'm saying, guys, is, don't be afraid. Learn to embrace, learn to love what you don't know. Everything that you don't know is an opportunity to learn about it. And if you like this kind of stuff like I do, it's sort of an opportunity to learn more about how the world works, more about how all this stuff behind me works. It's such an opportunity that even if you walk away deciding this is not what I want to do for a career, you at least know of its existence. And that's sort of important in IT and tech in general, to just have a general, knowledge base of this stuff. Now, it's one reason I can do this YouTube channel is because I'm sort of worldly when it comes to tech. And the reason I am is because when someone would tell me about something new that I haven't heard of, I wouldn't cringe. At least I would try to, resist that urge to cringe. I would instead listen and think, go home and Google and look at examples. And maybe I would even try a little something. I'd be like, I've got a computer. It says that's all I need to get started with this. Let's start. Let's learn some of these concepts. And the cool thing is that even the things that I completely dropped, I still could use some of the concepts. Now there's other things, like I'll give you an example, React.js. I tried this at one point. It did not go well for me. I did not like how it works. And the fact that it needed its own kind of type of server, even though I was already running one, it just made it not practical for me to get into. Even though I did see it was like a very good but competitive field at the time. So I sort of walked away from it. So ServiceNow is now moving to a React-like framework for programming stuff in their new interface. So just knowing what I knew about React, I knew enough to inform about my coworkers about, hey, this is not easy, guys. This is not just like your average JavaScript framework. There is a lot to this, and this is not the easiest thing to learn. So just having that experience helped me in my career. So I hope this helped you guys, and never be afraid to learn something new. Learning is great. Learning is fun. Learning is sometimes a good experience and sometimes a bad experience, but at least it's always an adventure. Keep going at it. If you like this stuff, subscribe to my channel, or at least give this video a like. Have a good night.